Welcome back to Poetry Lockdown. We are at day 190. Um, I'm excited to be doing some looping back to poets that I've uh, shouted out or covered in previous Poetry Lockdown videos, but also connecting from poet to poet. So I haven't shared this poet, John F. Deane. Terrific poet, but he connects back to a poet I shared way back in the spring, one of my favorite Irish poets, Seamus Heaney. So I think I mentioned in that video um, last fall, right around this time actually, Loyola University had this really cool event over the weekend. It was called the Catholic Imagination Conference. And they featured all sorts of different writers, including poets, novelists, visual artists, filmmakers, and they were really just reflecting on the intersection between faith and the imagination. And this poet, whom I'm going to read today, his name is John F. Deane, gave us an incredible presentation on the poetry of Seamus Heaney. And I read one of those poems that John F. Deane featured. But I've been really moved just to dive deeper into Deane's work. And this particular poem is just a great example of an exploration of a passage from Scripture where just one central word, it just gets deepened through the poet's exploration of it. So I'm excited to read it. The poem is called Rainbow. Rainbow by John F. Deane. Already another year is touching on high tide. Winds have been raising waves across the swollen meadow. Clouds gray and white and gray again bunch up like summer crowds on the slow road home from the shore. Joy made covenant with me these decades back, days on the riverbank when trout responded to stick, twine, and pin, with woodbine fragrant after rain. I ran then, laughing, from the scuttling forays of the white farmyard geese. These later times I might expect a flood of huge proportions to purge us of the wars we wage on the good earth, who have grown smart with chemicals and missiles, though we hold to prayer that love's unfaltering generosity might keep us safe. As Noah and the remnants of all flesh stood out one dawn on washed ground, smelt the fragrance of woodbine after rain, and saw love light up again in all her promise, the dreary undersides of the clouds. That's John F. Deane, Rainbow. It's a beautiful poem. So I love that it explores a moment from a really famous story from the scriptures in a new way. You know, I've talked a lot about how I love poetry that makes the familiar strange and fresh again. But the other thing I love is the personification that's in here. Um, that love is as a rainbow. You know, it's like personification and metaphor. Those closing lines are, I think, what I love the most. And saw love light up again in all her promise, the dreary undersides of the cloud. So it's almost like love has that capacity to do that. And it seems like this poem is a hope-filled poem because, you know, in the story of the flood, you know, human beings broke covenant with God, and God promised never to do that again. You know, the flood. So I don't know. There's just this is a poem that really lights me up at the end, just with its hopefulness. So hope it does the same for you, John F. Deane. Thank you for writing this beautiful poem, and thank you all for tuning in for another Poetry Lockdown. Hope you have a great rest of your week.